had an interesting happen today. I was fortunate enough to be able to help my clients today. And one of the things that we were able to do is to pivot my clients to help them kind of navigate through all this and actually really prepare them for what's coming up next in their lives. It's like literally a pivot shift. I'm so excited for them because I know that every single one of them will change and shift dramatically internally. Because what happens in theory for me, like helping them navigate through this, I believe that what we do now with this platform is that if we're going in this direction, these are two different people, a couple of degrees difference here is going to make a massive difference in the future. And that opportunity is given to all of us right now. And that is the pivot right here that can change that trajectory. And that is the fundamental difference, I believe, that could help change absolutely everything in this realm. So what I've been doing the last couple of weeks has been inviting friends of mine, people that I know and connected to help them navigate through this problem, because I know that I'm not the only person that can do that. So what I wanted to do is get some experts, and one of them being Rhonda Britten. And she's an absolutely amazing woman. She's an Emmy Award winner. She is one of the very first self-help people on television. She's been on Oprah many times. She's a 4-time bestseller. But one of the things I got really excited about Rhonda's presentation today, but one of the exercises reminded me of something that I actually got my clients to do before, which is called the worst case scenario. I think about what we do in my group in Nitro was that she's been on Oprah and she came in on board, and then she helped our clients navigate through their emotional states and also help them kind of build up their understanding of fear. What we want to talk about today is what she said that kind of made me think about the worst case scenario. One of the reasons why I feel like I've been able to switch really quickly and pivot is because of this worst case scenario. It's because I played out my worst case scenario through this particular outcome. And I would suggest that all of you consider doing that, because right away, right now, is that your worst case scenario is holding you back by not thinking about it. Because what's happening is, for most of us, is what we're doing is we're kind of going through the situation, just hanging tight and waiting for something to happen. You're waiting for someone to tell you that's going to be different. You're waiting for stimulus packages. You're waiting for someone to kind of tell you if it's okay to go outside. And I get all of that, but while you're waiting, you should be doing something and taking action. And how you can take action is to going of all the things that are happening right now. Even if you've lost your job, downturns in your business, even despite all of that happening, what you're trying to hold on to is you're holding on to the energy that things won't change. And that is, I believe, in my opinion, that energy trying to maintain status quo is actually holding you back. Because this is where we're at before the virus hit, and this is what you're trying to maintain after this virus is done, or whenever this pandemic is finished, or when we are allowed back into society. And the pull, because right now you're like this, and you're trying to maintain and don't want to lose that lifestyle, whatever that maintain that status quo, and that loss or that feeling of losing that energy to maintain that is holding you back to make the necessary decisions moving forward. And so what I mean by that is, think about this. If you're holding this energy, trying to maintain the status quo, you're taking so much energy to try to maintain this, there are so many opportunities right now that you could be doing, so many actions and behaviors that you could be acting on that you're not doing because you're just trying to maintain not losing. And I was reading this book called Thinking in Bets, and they talked about how we are more attached to things that we're gonna lose versus on something we win. Isn't that interesting? So we almost need to win twice as many things in order for us to have the same amount of feeling of losing something. And that's a huge emotional switch, right? To understand that. So if you're trying to constantly maintain this, that energy of loss is going to drain you. You're actually missing opportunities all around you. Whereas if you actually took the time to go think about what is the worst case scenario for you, and everybody's going to be different. Let's say my worst case scenario is that I lost all my clients. What would I do? Like literally, if I lost all my clients, what would happen? If that happened, then I know what to do next. I would just start a new program. I start a new business. I would pivot. And I remember thinking in that moment, is going, wow, isn't that interesting? Because as soon as I thought from my worst case scenario, I was like, okay, I can get through this. I have enough assets or cash flow to kind of get me through the next couple of months. And if I do that, I can able to then pivot and actually try to action on something different. That moment of energy, just letting that go, allowed me to actually take action, or at least consider the actions I could be taking if the worst case scenario did happen. And so what I'm suggesting to you is this: by allowing you to think through your worst case scenario, what happens here in your mind is that you drop the energy of holding the status quo. What would then do allows you to open up this massive bandwidth of being a creator. You start to think creativity that allows you to start being like an entrepreneur. You start thinking of things that you can take action on right now that will make the fundamental difference in your life. Because if you're a holding pattern right now, waiting for something to happen, these opportunities are flying by and you're not seeing them. And what I'm suggesting for you is to allow that energy to drop by thinking through your worst case scenario and then just accepting that this worst case scenario, but you actually have to answer the question, are you willing to accept the worst case scenario? Of course, right? Now, if you're not, then obviously we've got to do something about that. But if you are, all of a sudden this energy drops. And what you can do in that moment is then go, okay, if that does happen, then you have an action step to move forward. And that energy is so great. See, if you are able to drop the worst case scenario in your lap, all of a sudden your energy drops and allow you to move forward. There's something also what Tim Ferriss also mentioned too as well, is that it's called about fear setting. It's a very similar exercise. If you're able to think for the worst case scenario, then there's actually 2 extra steps. So the other 2 extra steps is this. Okay, now that I know my worst case scenario, what are some of the steps? What are some of the things that I could be doing right now that will be able to help me mitigate that from ever happening? That's number 1. And the other thing you could be doing is, even if I did have to start from scratch, from zero, what can I do to help me build it back to where I am? Summary of this is basically, think of your worst case scenario, what Rhonda suggested. That drops the energy of holding your status quo. Try not to hold this energy to kind of get back to status quo. You just drop this energy, allows you to have the energy and bandwidth to allow you to lead you to a better life, because now you can make decisions on helping you change the trajectory of your life so that in the future, it's going to be quite different. That is about being the pivot mind. That is about helping you become a better version of yourself after this happens. You have that opportunity, and it's the actions you take every single day from this moment on. Every single moment and every decision you make will change your life. It's up to you to make that decision and make that life. Thanks for watching this video. If you haven't already done so, that subscribe button, you should press it. And because I want to share videos with you just like this one to help you grow your practice.